77 years ago, my great-grandmother Rachel and my great-grandfather Meir were liberated from Birkenau. Unbeknownst to each other, they were both alive, walking, breathing skeletons, shadow people who were no longer regal citizens of Hungary or strong pillars of their community. They were defined only by their status as a survivor. Back before hell reigned on earth, Rachel couldn't have children, like Rachel the matriarch. So while the rest of the women of her small Hungarian community and their precious children were sent to the gas chambers, she was selected for labor. Her and Meir were separated, parting as if it were to be their last moment. For all they knew, it was their last moment. Hungarian Jews were the last to be sent to death, and by then, they knew what lay ahead. Somehow, by the grace of God, or perhaps by sheer luck or by some force we don't understand, Rachel and Meir lived. Rachel returned back to her village and tried to continue on living, thinking she was alone in the world, until one day an 80-pound man with bright blue eyes claimed to be her husband. In shock and disbelief, she asked for proof, so he described stories and signs that only a husband would know. Survivors. They fled to a DP camp and welcomed my great-uncle. After years of being barren, after years of genocide, they were surviving. They made their way to Israel, settling in Bnei Brak, welcoming my great-aunt and finally my grandfather. 3 years ago, in preparation for my own trip to Poland, to walk those same steps down the train tracks to Auschwitz that Rachel and Meir walked, I asked my grandfather for their story. So he told me what he could from the little that was shared, and I carried their names, their numbers, and their legacy with an Israeli flag draped over my shoulders, arm in arm with the other granddaughters and great-granddaughters of survivors. I took in the barracks, where they may have lain their head alongside those who never made it out. I studied the latrines where they were stripped of any dignity. I watched the snow crunch beneath my well-insulated feet, remembering Safta Rachel and Saba Meir in the thin uniforms and wooden clogs that just barely covered their frail bodies. I will never forget. We will never forget. Even as the tides begin to shift against us, and as the currents strengthen and try to drown us, remember that we are a nation of survivors, born out of the strength of people like Rachel and Meir. Against all odds, they found each other and they rebuilt. Because of that strength, we will continue to rebuild, to prosper, and to defend our existence. We will continue to live as a free nation in our homeland, because we are survivors. Thank you.